Hi and welcome to this video in which we're going to talk about 6 painful core wounds that you most likely have when you have grown up with a narcissistic mother. And it's important to know what these are so that they don't just play out in your life and you're unaware of it and they cause havoc and perpetuate all the injuries that you've had growing up. And my name is Åse Wegerif and I am a survivor myself, and I'm also been through the whole route, and I'm a registered counselor and I provide therapy for people, and I work one-on-one with programs and communities to help people heal from the aftermath of having a narcissistic mother. So while most therapists are purely psychological, I have a broader perspective. I believe that there are 2 levels to us, which is I'm trained in a psychospiritual approach to seeing you as a person. And I don't use the spiritual aspect when I work with people who are not open for it. But if you are open for it, and on this channel I do hold a dual perspective lens, meaning that I see you as a personality that has formed through surviving, growing up with your family, with your narcissistic mother. And once you grow up and you're an adult and you start shedding layers of that survivor personality, seeing it and shedding those layers, you get then to choose to be the authentic self. And when you are more of your authentic self, you start opening up to living and releasing more of the spiritual nature that you have. Live out more aspects, deeper aspects of who you truly are, which just feels very purposeful, joyful, truly living and thriving. So these are really wonderful things. And I'm a living example of this myself. So I do actually think that you can't take someone where you haven't been yourself. So I think that's really important that you, if you are in therapy, that you find a really good therapist who has walked the journey themselves. So let's get to these 6 aspects, core woundings of having a narcissistic mother. The first core wound is that you were never allowed to be who you are. You were never seen by her. You were never listened to by her. She didn't pay attention to your uniqueness or certainly not in a positive way. There was no attention, no empathy to your internal world. It was all about being externally shaped and raised and molded to fit in with her, what she wanted, and the dysfunctional narcissistic family that you were brought up in. So you're only shown acceptance when you fulfill this. You're only given love, which isn't true love, because true love is it's the most powerful force that there is in this world, is love. And this is not love. This is something that resembles to the child. Love, it comes with a sweet promise that if you are like this, then you will get some love. But it ends as the minute that you don't fulfill what your narcissistic mother wants. So you learn to conform to her requirements to you, and she's the model. She's the foremost person that you meet in life, the most primary relationship. So it's a model of all later relationships, and it easily transfers subconsciously in your mind to represent other people. So you will learn that other people's opinions really have a big power over you, instead of being able to go inside and really be who you are. So you don't get, as a child, the aid and guidance from your parents to connect with your true self, the deep relationship inside of you, who you truly are, your true essence, your authentic self, your true self, your spiritual self, your higher self. It's not mirrored, so you end up not ever really connecting to it from the beginning until you grow up and it starts to call for you. It starts to speak to you quietly. You feel discomfort knowing that you're not being true to yourself, and that can grow into a very, very intense kind of pain. You can undo this. You can undo this as an adult. You do need to walk a path. You do need, most likely, you need support, or at least you need people who can help you find who you are, help you find your own voice. It's not really easy to do this all by yourself. So what can help is that I've got a spirit love meditation that you can listen to, which connects you to your spirit and beams you with love. And really, that is the most deep connection that there is. So you can grab that from a link here and begin the process of really connecting to your spirit and yourself through that meditation. The second core wounding is that you had an experience of living in an abusive world right from the start of your life. You don't know anything else. You learned in this abusive world that others are deceitful, that you are not important, that you don't matter, that others manipulate, that you are not safe. It's quite a harsh world. It's emotionally a very, very toxic and very difficult world. And it means that you end up in a survival mode, your safety, the system that operates on an unconscious level at all times to keep you safe, keeps on going the whole time. It's a system that gets your nervous system gets hyperactivated. It means that you are ready to jump. You are ready to expect other people to be abusive. You come to expect to be treated harshly. And for many people then, they withdraw, they isolate, they withdraw from other people because the pain of this is just so severe. So that's very understandable. So that we do find our different ways of keeping ourselves safe, but often these ways can bring upon us even more difficulties because they get out of hand. So there are all kind of coping ways that are emotional that really can get out of hand. And isolation, it can be, some people drink, some people numb themselves out through different ways, distractions. There's all kind of ways, food, eating, all kind of ways that people cope with these really difficult feelings that they have. And what happens is that your life becomes about survival. It's not about thriving. It's not about exploring, developing capabilities and so on, mastery. Your life becomes about survival. And even when you find yourself in situations that are actually safe, you're still relating through from your internal unsafe experiences, from that map that you have. And it's a sad thing because this can go on through people's lives, that they actually experience, they see through the filter of what they had in early programming and are not able to relate very well to what's actually truly going on. So there you have a big growth point if you can learn to distinguish when your maps are accurate and when they are not. So that's something to really consider. Point number 3, another core wounding is that your relational, we're talking about relationships here, your relationship maps are faulty, and often people aren't aware of it, at least not to the extent of the how problematic they are. So we do tend to gravitate to what's known for us. So if you've grown up with a narcissistic mother, it's very likely that you will find other narcissists coming into your life because they can almost sense it, they can smell it, that you are someone that they can. You've already been abused, you're already used to it, you'll already let someone take from you, and you haven't got the right boundaries, and you're blind to certain things about how people are abusive, and you don't have much self-respect or worth. So it's easy for someone like this to come in here, and for you it's something that it's painful, but it's very familiar and thereby safe. Your nervous system knows that it's bad, but it doesn't know how bad something else would be. It expects it, that it feels like it's protecting you from what it doesn't know yet. So when you then get bad relationships, painful relationships experience, it's easy to look at the relationships and ignore the internal map that we have. But this is actually what's keeping you in these repetitive, painful relationships. Here you can get my self-invalidation quiz for free. If you're interested in that, grab it in the link, because that can help you shed some of the blindness in relationship. It's about how you've been dismissed in relationship with your mother and how now you do it to yourself. And you can also be doing it in relationships and upholding relationship dysfunction that way. So that can be a good instrument for just gaining some awareness, and often that is very powerful in itself. So you can get that from the link in the description of this video. So you have learned that you are less than. You have learned that you are one down from people. That you just have to accept the treatment as it's given to you. That others are more important to you. That you are criticized, judged and ridiculed and gaslit, and that you just have to take it. So you have learned to be over responsible, over accountable, over giving, over apologetic, over empathic and over sensitive inside. So what you haven't learned is lessons such as acceptance, unconditional love, equal and reciprocal, vulnerable, intimate relationships, and that the world is real and not how you see it as threatening. That everything is actually there. There is darkness and there is light. There is love as well as hate. So that's the reality. So in order to heal some of these relationship injuries, it is quite important to try to find relationships or small groups or supportive environments. That is why I run a program with a community part in it, in order to help people actually be in this kind of environment that they can heal in. Because it's really powerful to be in healing processes with other people who are in similar experiences, and certainly with someone who has experienced this themselves as well. So that is highly recommended for you if you are able to do that. So core wounding number 4 is that you are programmed to feel guilty, even when things are not your fault, even when you haven't done anything wrong. Just for instance, if you don't comply with your mother, you feel guilty. When you step outside of the strict survival patterns that you've had to develop, like overgiving, over-responsible, pleasing at all times, if you just act normal, you will then feel guilty because it's outside of your norm of this survival pattern, even if the guilt isn't something that is really something you should feel guilty about. If you if you change the dynamic of accommodating others above yourself, you will feel guilty. Even when you're asked to care for the abuser, like an old narcissistic mother who's still abusive to you, you still feel guilty if you don't, if you would protect yourself. If you self-protect, you feel guilty. If you have your own opinion that differs from other people, you may feel guilty. You're just a guilt sponge, and it comes from the programming that was completely traumatizing and non-adaptive for you. So this is also something that is something to look at. How guilty am I, and what are the reasons behind? When am I feeling this guilt? Where does it come from, and what's actually adaptive in the situation? So point number 5 is that you have a shame-based self. Your mother was shame-shedding, especially if you were a scapegoat. This is Jerry Weiss, narcissist expert's expression that I've heard from him. You had to be made to be shameful so that she had someone to dump her shame onto, to unshame herself. But the problem is that all these episodes of shame and situations of shame, they end up not just being about the feeling of shame anymore. They actually become an identity, feeling worthless, of not being good enough, of being unlovable, and this becoming an identity, a real sort of feeling that this is who you are. And your mother has trained you in this. She has looked at you. She probably didn't have to look that many times at you, because we are so sensitive and our mothers are so important to us, that if she just like looks at you and she's not happy with what she's seeing, or she's finding you, she doesn't like it, it's enough to really cause that really deep wound inside, and a feeling of I'm bad, I'm not good enough, and I make her unhappy, and there's something really bad about me. So this is an identity that you may very well carry inside of you. And when you have it, it's really also difficult for other people who actually do like you to be able to, which you may then feel like nobody does, because it doesn't add up to what you're actually feeling inside of yourself in that identity that you have. But for other people, then they might actually want to give you praise and good feedback and so on, but you may be a bottomless pit of feeling so bad about yourself that they can just and it's not like this can be fixed by outside messages like this. It's something that needs to change from the inside. So you may feel ashamed just for having feelings. You may feel ashamed just for having needs. You may feel ashamed just for asking someone for something. This is very common, that people aren't able to ask anyone to be there for them. If you have an opinion, you may feel ashamed. If you don't have an opinion, you may feel like you're not good and you're ashamed. You may feel ashamed about how you look, just for how you act, for how you speak, how you are, your body. I have met people who are ashamed about everything. They don't like anything about themselves. So life becomes really difficult, I would say almost impossible, when you feel so faulty and so bad and so wrong that you can't turn in any direction without experiencing your own inner badness. So this is something that is really hard to get out of alone, and really I think it is important to try to seek some kind of help with it. But this again as well is also something that in programs such as I've got a 12-week healing journey, and you're very welcome to email me or come on my email list. The links for this and my email address can be found in the description of this video, because you can be in surroundings where people are struggling with the same thing, and a lot of this is about experiencing differently to what you have experienced, because that's what actually can really shift the dynamic inside. So perhaps hearing other people struggling with this and realizing that, well, hey, there's nothing that they should be ashamed of, and then realizing you're doing it to yourself, can just be really, really something that makes an inner shift in you in a good direction. So point number 6, injury number 6, is isolation. When the shame runs deep, we want to disappear and withdraw from other people. Not many people can understand what it's like to have a narcissistic mother. You really have to have felt this on your body yourself. And we're so alone because it's so shameful, because we feel like we're to blame. We can't place anything of this right. Usually we just feel like we're to blame. and shameful, and we don't want to show this to anyone, so we end up alone. And if we do gain awareness, then it's still hard because other people don't want to know, they don't want to hear it. It's you're actually looked upon as badly, because if you talk about your mother, it's considered quite a low thing to do, even if she's been really, really low with you your whole life and still is. So you do walk an isolated path in childhood, perhaps as a struggling teenager, perhaps struggling to form relationships as an adult who feels like I should have things together and I haven't got everything together, like a lot of people do. Saying that, we do know that people present these images and it's not the reality. So what are the implications of this then? Well, now you know about the injuries, and you can think about yourself, like, how is this for you? Because if you know that you do feel a lot of shame, then perhaps you can realize that this is to do with your upbringing. This is not to do with you being a shameful person, but it does take time to unshame yourself. And this video is one piece of that, but you will need to hear probably many different videos, and also what does work very well is personal processes, and also like community and support from other people. So that is definitely something to think about. So I hope that this has been helpful, and if it has, I'd love for you to comment or subscribe, then I get to see you again. And I wish you all the best, and if you're interested in my 12-week healing journey, then do send me an email. You can find the email on my YouTube description of this video and channel. All the best to you, and speak to you later. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye.